of punks, predators, and pigs. A South Carolina cop, Michael Slager, opens up on an unarmed black man, Walter Scott. 8 times he shoots. The 50-year-old man drops like a stone in the sea and drifts into eternity. Scott, a former officer of the U.S. Coast Guard and father of 4, had initially been stopped for a busted traffic light. The cop wrote a detailed report saying he was attacked by Scott, who tried to steal his taser. And then the video appeared, and everything changed. Well, almost everything. Slager's been busted, that's rare. But remember the young man who allegedly shot, not killed, 2 cops in Ferguson several weeks ago? Every politician in America leaped at the chance to call the kid a punk, a thug. Now, what do you call Slager? What have you heard? Even though he's been fired, he's called Officer Today or Mr. Slager. He killed a man for a traffic citation and lied about it. Is he a punk, a predator, or what Huey P. Newton used to call a pig? From Imprisoned Nation, this is Mumia Abu Jamal. These commentaries are recorded by Noel Hanrahan of Prison Radio.
All right, we're going? Okay. Oh, yeah. Black Sun in the hizzle. Oh, the shizzle dizzle. We got an excellent show here today, but first I want to say the views and opinions and that of the Arena does not reflect that of Comcast, its staff, or affiliates. And the views of Black Sun does not reflect that of the Arena because we are a council. With that being said, I want to introduce the person to my right. Gideon, introduce yourself there.
Well, you know I be's your servant, your brother, community activist, soldier, Gidon Ben Yasharal. Thank you for letting me in the arena, bruh. You know what I mean?
For shizzle.
Yes, sir. You should know who I am by now. I'm Vincent Cheeks, actor, activist, all that good stuff. You know, here to bring you another informative topic and informative show. I hope you are ready.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, this hit home, Vince. You know, you being a former teacher, bring us right on in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure everybody by now has heard of the Atlanta cheating scandal, which broke in 2008. Initially, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a story on how some schools made miraculous turnarounds on their test scores, and that is what ultimately started the investigation into the Atlanta public school system. It's pretty much been deemed the largest cheating scandal in the United States history.
Wow.
Okay, and what it is groups of teachers, principals, administrators got together to change the scores, change student scores on the state certified test, the CRCT, criterion reference test. And because they conspired to do that, the state of Georgia hit them with a RICO Act, which is generally preserved for
gangsters,
organized crime members. You know, RICO stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations.
Wow.
So the teachers were all ultimately charged with conspiracy and racketeering, which they ultimately face up to 20 years in jail, which is a bit of an issue for me. I have a personal connection to this story.
That's right.
I taught in the Atlanta public school system from 2003 to mid-2005. I quit in the middle of my 3rd year for this very reason here. I knew cheating was going on. I knew it wasn't right. I knew they were pushing students through school in elementary school, which is where I worked, which ultimately is a great disservice to the child, and ultimately leads to a higher crime rate. Because there's a direct correlation between education and crime. And the higher your education, the less likely you are to commit crime. And so, for me, when I quit back in 2005, and since 2005, even when I came on my show, your show last year. It was,
Our
I
show.
believe this is my 1-year anniversary of being with the Arena.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I came on the show last year to talk about this whole cheating scandal, and since 2005, I've had this desire to see those who perpetrated this crime punished.
Wow, you got your wish there.
Yeah.
You got
And
your
for me,
wish.
it was more so coming from the viewpoint of the students.
Right.
Because I'm like, I grew up an inner city child. I could have very easily been any of these students that they were cheating, that they were not truly teaching, that they were just pushing through grade by grade. And so for me, I felt so much disgust and anger with the Atlanta public school system when I left the system that I just wanted to see justice and I wanted to see them punished. Now, fast forward to April 1st, when the convictions came in for the teachers, the 12 teachers that got convicted, I was like, yes, okay. Finally some punishment gonna be doled out for these people who knew what they were doing and effectively miseducating kids.
Don't lynch them niggas.
Right. But then when I realized that they were facing 20 years,
Right.
20 years for changing some answers on some test scores,
Right.
when you have murderers,
Right.
rapists, pedophiles,
Come on.
abusers, drug dealers that don't face anywhere near that much time on multiple infractions.
Exactly.
Okay, and so that I had to kind of scale it back a little because I began to see the racism
Exactly.
that was shrouded in this situation under the covenant of caring about black children.
No child left behind.
No child left behind. And so I was kind of torn because I did want to see justice, but I definitely don't feel like 20 years fits this crime.
Right.
And so,
Well, you sounding like, hold on. There's always a situation where there's a crime, and then notice the jury be like, well, we didn't want him to have that much time.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, Vince? Basically, it's just like a person, they call the police,
Right.
and the police come out and shoot the spouse.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to shoot. Well, no. The police are meant to kill people when they come out on a domestic call, number one.
Yeah.
And if you're convicted of a crime, they're going to throw the book at you.
Right.
What were you thinking, Vince?
I was thinking that there would be punishment doled out
Right.
for
Well,
the atrocities that happened. I did not think it would ruin people and families' lives. Like, I expected them to be fired and lose their teaching certification. There were more cheating scandals that happened in Baltimore, Houston, and Philadelphia. Because these cheating scandals are going on all across the country.
Oh, okay.
All across the country. And so the teachers and principals and everybody involved in Baltimore, Houston, and Philadelphia, they got fired
Right.
and they lost their teaching certification.
Okay. End of story.
End of story.
Right.
That punishment fits the crime to me.
Right.
But to face,
Wait a minute. Where are they niggers?
Baltimore and Philadelphia, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's mainly happened in urban or inner city school districts.
Right.
And so, one of the people convicted on April 1st, he was the testing coordinator at my school at Blaylock Elementary when I was teaching. His name was Mr. Bullock.
Oh, so you knew him personally.
I knew him personally. We had a very, I don't want to say tight, because what they did, because a lot of the teachers that were convicted said that they blamed inordinate pressure
Right.
to meet targets set by the district,
Right.
and said that they faced severe consequences such as negative evaluations or termination if they didn't comply.
Wow.
So you have teachers that are performing in all sorts of roles, counselors, babysitters, whatever. A lot of them aren't trained properly because they're not all coming straight out of college from education fields.
Okay.
And you put them in these classrooms a lot of time with kids that don't want to learn.
Right.
And, that was my first time when I was teaching in elementary school, seeing so many young children so disinterested in learning and would tell you straight to your face, I don't care about what you're teaching. I don't want to know about what you're teaching. I don't even want to be here. You know, so there was that attitude was prevalent. And so you have this system that's constructed with students who don't particularly really want to learn.
Right.
Wait a minute. So it has to be steeped in the parents.
That's where I was
And
going. Parents.
generation,
That's where I was
right.
going
And
next.
elders.
That parents that aren't involved
And
in their
religious
child
zealots.
education,
Okay.
and then teachers who are overworked and underpaid that are catching the brunt from the students, from the parents, and from the administration at the school.
Absolutely.
And the way, you know, a lot of teachers talked about the pressure that they felt. It wasn't even overt pressure. This is what they would do. Well, if you're a teacher, I'm the principal, I'm talking to you.
Right.
You know the CRCT is going to be coming in April.
Right.
And you know we have to have great test scores
Right.
for the students.
Right.
So I want you to make sure that you do what you need to do to make sure that your students pass the test.
Got to meet this quota.
Meet these standards.
Exactly.
And so they're not coming out and saying, look, we're trying to get money for the school. Once the kids take the test, I want you to erase the answers and put all the right answers. It's nothing overt like that. It's very subtle, and it's very kind of just meant to nudge you into that direction.
Manipulate.
Thank you. That's an excellent word. It's meant to manipulate you into doing what they want you to do, which is boost these test scores so the schools and the teachers can get money. Now,
Federal money.
Now, what happened, my first year teaching in Bankhead, shout out to Bankhead, it's closed down, but I love all my people from there. My first year teaching in Bankhead, I'm in my first teachers meeting, right? And the teacher that was my mentor teacher, she started talking about the CRCT, and that is coming in April. And then her next sentence was, we got to make sure we do what we got to do to make sure these kids pass this test so we can get our bonus money. And I'm sitting there like, make sure we do what we got to do to get the bonus money? And at the
Bitch,
time,
you're just so righteous.
He's a good
Don't
guy.
you understand how this, let's get a switch, how this capitalist system works?
That's
please
it.
explain. Do tell.
It's ran on money.
That's
it's
it.
not
Everything
ran
is
on
money.
righteousness or God's glory or the blood of Jesus. It's ran on cold, hard cash. Go ahead.
And that was the lesson I was beginning to learn at that moment. Because for me, I did get into teaching for a righteous reason, which was
Right.
to educate
Wait.
educate youth.
Who told you to get into this for a righteous reason? Who told you this country was even righteous?
Exactly.
See, that's the problem with niggers.
That's
Y'all need to understand this country was built on slavery.
Right.
It was built on warfare.
Right.
And it was built on destruction.
Manipulation
and lies.
manipulation and
what
lies.
are you missing here?
So no Sky
Well,
Daddy is going to come in.
Ain't no sky daddy gonna come
First
in.
of all, let me say to
Okay.
your point you just made that I wasn't as enlightened to
Right.
this system as I am.
Naive.
Okay,
is
so
the
that's my
word.
question. So who told you to bring in this righteousness? Who told you that?
There was no one that told
It was
me.
in
I was
it.
working.
It
So
was in
you're
it.
going against the rules there.
Well, first of all, I didn't know there were rules. I was working in corporate America
Right.
that I couldn't stand.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
And so there was this accelerated program.
We gonna need somebody on that switch to wake up there.
We had
Okay.
this accelerated program that was taking people out of other areas and incorporating them into the education field.
Okay.
So I was working at Hate Farm at the time. You know what I'm talking about, the
Yeah.
insurance company.
Right.
And I was miserable, and I heard about this program, so I applied for the program.
Right.
The program was a 3-month accelerated crash course in teaching, where they, over that summer, from mid-May to the first week of August, they gave us this accelerated course. Once the school year started, we would start teaching, and we would have to go to school at Georgia State to receive our teacher certification, which the state would pay for. So, okay, sounds good to me. So once I get into the system, and this is one of the first statements I hear from my mentor teacher,
Right.
that we have to do what we have to do on these tests so we can get the money, our bonus money. Because how it worked is, if we took the CRCT in April of 2015, which is this month.
Right.
The CRC to be starting within next week. If we took the test this month, the scores would come back around October, November. And based on the scores, it would determine how much money the school got. And everybody that worked at the school would get a bonus.
Right.
Teachers, principals, janitors, kitchen staff.
Wow.
Everybody
Okay.
that worked at the school would get a bonus. And so their whole focus was, now we have to teach to the test.
Right.
Which a lot of our kids, a lot of our inner city kids, like I said, they had a lot of disinterest in learning.
Sure.
And so now you're not even trying to teach them the proper, correct way anymore. Now you're just specifically teaching to a test.
You telling them the answers.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. I want to pinpoint where this disinterest come from, because you know some of our elders, like Gideon, has a disinterest, and you feed this to our people, Gideon. Not only you, but a lot of our people are fed this disinterest, and so I want to know.
Now, I want you to define disinterest, because obviously our people are interested in education to a certain extent.
Okay.
The disinterest that I perceive we have has to do with our detachment from the American dream that has turned into a nightmare
What is
for us.
American dream?
Well, it originally was a house, a picket fence,
Cushy
2.5
job.
children, and a dog.
Right.
You know, that was the American dream.
Right.
Now,
But then we had to upgrade it.
then we had Katrina. Then we had our children being left behind. Then we had the infusion of drugs into the educational system, where Nancy Reagan said, say no to drugs, but then they brought in Ritalin, and they brought in all these other drugs in the schools. And then they began to target our children primarily for HD.
Wait, hold on.
Right.
Gideon, it was say no to illegal drugs.
Well, yes, you're right. But the legal ones say yes to, and put all the little black children, specifically the black boys, on them.
Right.
So, you know, you seem to lack detail here.
Well, see, there's
Nancy Reagan said, say no to illegal drugs. They say
Right.
nothing about legal drugs there.
But what you didn't realize is there began to be open a pipeline to prison.
Yeah.
From school to prison pipeline.
That's right.
And it was all targeting a certain specific group. And I believe this CRCT scandal and all of its components had to do with putting fear into teachers and for the privatization of the school system.
Right.
Because the public funds that have been going to the children that are really, they want to be going to prison, was being, in their minds, of the elite, wasted.
Right.
So once they began to go in and bring these tests, these tests, this is the thing, and I must say this in all candor. I was kind of passed through in college.
Okay.
I was the dumbest person in class, in my math class.
Okay.
But my professor pulled me to the side. He said, you know what? You the dumbest person in I sat on the front row every day. I was in class every day.
Right.
But you know what he told me? He said, look, I see something in you. There's some value in you, and I'm going to pass you, even though you the dumbest person in here.
Right.
So when we talk about our teachers, first of all, passing students, this ain't the first. Look at the college athletes.
Oh, yeah.
College athletes have been passed through school, from Lawrence Taylor to who is the young boy out there? His name escapes me, but there have been so many.
Yeah.
Don't forget OJ.
OJ and the other one, I can't remember his name right now, but great running back. It's been happening all along. So what we're seeing is it's all coming to a head now, and this CRTC scandal and these teachers. Why? This is the point I want to ask. When these women were wrongful, when I say wrongfully convicted, that way we're not wrongfully convicted, because
Not according
we
to
know
Vince. They got justice according to
well,
Vince.
they were cheating. Cheating was going on.
Okay.
However, when the courts would have the opportunity now to levy a charge of up to 20 years for these erasures
Right.
on a test,
On a test.
which has been doing Doherty County.
Yeah.
Other counties have been doing this. They weren't even brought to bear. They were mentioned. That's how I even know about it.
Right.
But they were never cited for the same. And then all across this country, the same things have been going on. Why were they not brought up on charges?
To your point, it says in 2012, the AJC found suspect math and reading scores in 69,000 schools across the country.
See? It's the point.
Okay, 69,000 schools. So,
Right.
like you said, this didn't just start yesterday.
It didn't just.
Yesteryear.
But in Atlanta, in Fulton County, it's a chocolate city.
Right.
And what they want to do is profile and identify us as not having the ability to lead, educate,
Right.
or do what's right. And with that profile, they continue to degrade and, the concept of our ability to lead has been deteriorated to a extent that now it's almost unrepairable.
Right.
You understand?
And I like the fact that you brought up black leadership and educating the youth.
Right.
My thing with that is, for me, I didn't see a lot of black leadership in the schools.
Right.
Because from what I saw, in the school I taught at, it was 45 teachers in the school. Out of that 45, there were maybe 5 teachers that generally, truly were concerned about the kids.
Now, how many men in that ratio to women? That's another component.
We had maybe 4 or 5 men out of the 45 teachers.
Exactly.
But for me, like Black Son just said, I don't know where I went in with my righteous cap on, I was gonna do something great.
In a corrupt system.
Say niggas want to run this country through a theocracy. When y'all won't ever get it. Go ahead.
There was nothing with a theocracy with me. I just wanted to
theocratic idea.
Being rightly educating someone is not a theocratic idea. Rightly educating someone should be a human idea.
Right, and the right education is learning the American system.
Oh, Lord of mercy, please stop.
Learning not learning God's system, learning the American
secular
system.
humanism.
Learning the system of the white man.
The point I was making about the black leaders is that when I looked around in my school, and when I looked around the Atlanta public school system,
right,
I saw it was mainly us,
right,
black men and women, doing this to black children.
Exactly.
And I didn't understand why, either one, nobody else saw a problem with it that I did,
right,
or number two, no one was willing to really speak up against it like I did. When I left the Atlanta public school system, me and a few other teachers, we were talking about starting our own charter school,
right,
where we could educate kids properly, because there were those few teachers that knew it was wrong and wanted to, truly educate people.
Right.
But what the APS did, if you went against the grain of what they were doing, is they would blackball you.
Yes, sir.
They would blackball you quick. Now, I don't know if I'm blackballed, because when I quit, it was in the, right before Christmas break, which I'm sure they wasn't happy about, because it was in a little school year. And I had been, I guess, kind of planning a coup, if you will, with other teachers at my school. Like, look, man, we can start our own school. We can do this better than what they're doing, and educate our kids.
Exactly.
And, I had a few people that were interested in the idea. But overall, like you said, it's a system of instituting fear.
Right.
To where, if you're not going along with the program, then you could face bad evaluations, you could face termination, and you could face being blackballed,
slandering your name. See, I was a president of the PTA, first of all, when my children are in school.
Okay.
I also was a treasurer, and because I didn't toe the line with the standard operating procedure with those women run that thing like it's a gangster clique.
Right.
And when you come in there trying to buck against that system, I remember going to a PTA meeting and wanting to speak to the parents at large. Did you know the lady would not even give me the mic? I went up there and stood. This white boy came and told me, "Sir, you need to sit down." I said, "No, you need to sit down and get on up out of my face." And when I went to go, my turn to speak, the lady, well, I'm not giving you the mic. I just started speaking because I can amplify.
Right.
And start speaking to the parents about their children and how the school system itself is an indoctrination of white supremacy. They do not teach our children to make them powerful entrepreneurs or to be able to lead themselves. They teach them to be followers.
Right.
And then when we see this scandal come out,
isn't that what your Bible teaches you, to be a follower?
well, I
Yes,
must
it
agree
does.
with that. I must agree with
Yes, you
that.
must agree with that, Gideon.
Yeah, see, he want to gavel me, boy. He been itching. I am a follower.
What
Right.
he was is teaching the kids to be the followers of the wrong thing.
Thank you.
Wait.
Thank you.
Don't wait a minute.
Thank you.
Again, we don't have a right and wrong. We have what is efficient.
It's true.
Well, the system isn't efficient if it's pushing children through the system, thereby creating greater crime.
Right.
Efficient
By
America.
design.
Right, by design.
See, now let me educate
Go ahead.
my righteous brothers on this. It is very efficient for what they call the prison
Industrial complex.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay? And see, in order to catch a thief, or I don't want to say a criminal. I don't want to say a thief, 'cause I don't like to steal, but a criminal mind.
Right,
You have to know the criminal mind.
That's true.
And that's what I know. See, one thing about black people, we so righteous that everything on the street level passes us.
We're naive.
Very naive, Gideon.
Exactly.
Very naive. And that's why they give you the Bible so you can stay naive. Yes. And your spirituality. So you can stay naive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All we need is about 10 more black sons.
None of that has nothing to do with my naivete. Thank you very much.
But you went in the school system thinking, oh, I'm going to educate the kids.
That was ignorance.
Yes.
Right. You see the bigger picture now.
Wait, was Martin Luther
no.
King ignorant?
The
Yes, he
bigger
was.
Absolutely, he was.
Absolutely.
Well,
he
my
was.
bigger picture was to step out on my own and to build my own school.
Exactly.
Where I can educate kids the way I want to. And that's
Right.
what I've been working towards since I left APS in 2005.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm going to continue to work towards until I'm standing in my school, cutting the ribbon to my brand new school where children can go and get a quality education.
Exactly.
That's all. That's all I want to do. And if
Yes.
I know
that makes you a threat, sir. You're a terrorist.
Not necessarily, because his school will still teach kids on how to survive and maintain in a capitalist system. Now, if you want to end capitalism,
Well.
you have to go into the Congo, and this is why I don't like to do economical shows, because you have to go into the Congo with some rebel forces. That's how
Okay.
you become rich. And that's how you change the economical system. But if you're not doing that, then you will participate and survive in the capitalist system, and in which basically treads you down the same path.
I mean,
Of course it
not,
is.
necess- not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Because I'm not corrupt. And I've been in
Of
this
course
system,
you're
I don't know, I've been in this system, I don't know how long. I can
Right.
say that I look in the
Okay,
camera, I
that's-
look in your eyes, I look in his eyes and tell anybody I'm not corrupt because I haven't
Right.
let this world corrupt me.
Right.
Vince, I feel you. You're so righteous, yes. And you and Gideon so righteous.
It ain't about being righteous, it's about trying to educate youth.
Right.
I don't understand
okay.
why you making that out to be a bad thing.
I'm not.
Well, what he's
saying-
basically
You're being
saying
very,
is
you're being very
capitalism.
condescending.
Well, what he's
No.
saying is capitalism is the ruling force and drive in this economic machine that we call America. And even though you and I both have a concept for trying to teach our children the right way of developing, the cesspool and sewage of capitalism will invade their thought process, and it will either make them a victim to white supremacy, the prison industrial complex, or their own naivete, which is what the teachers, I believe, became a part of in them being, because they could have taken it out. Like, explain what the original concept was.
And I only explain, but let me just make this point to you. A lot of the killings, you ever notice that a lot of the people never had criminal records? The people who were getting killed. I just want to bring that, and I'm not being
A
condescending.
lot of people
Vince.
that what?
The people that are being targeted for attack, killing, mugging are people who are naive to the point that there's attacks, killing, and mugging going on. In essence, they're like the
They have clean
teachers.
records.
They have clean records. They are people who, like you, on the surface, not maybe like you because they did cheat with knowledge. What you did when you found out the cheating like others, you left.
Right.
The people who were cheating and were told that they were going to be charged, they copped a plea.
Right.
But these other people who didn't understand the cesspool, sewage, and poison of capitalism said, well, I want to go with the system, and I want to plead my case.
I'm innocent. Take it to courts.
Well, that's ego, and
Exactly.
not even that's their ego.
Is it
and
ego or
not,
naivety? Because I think because some black people believe that
those people weren't naive. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Now this is where I'm at the debate you, Vince. They had no criminal record. Only criminals understand how the system really works and how to finagle that thing. And that's why felons.
I don't know about that.
You don't
'cause
know
I
about
don't really.
that. You don't know about that.
I went to
You don't know
school
about
to
that.
learn the system, and
Okay, so I'm saying like this, that a person with a clean record is less likely to know the vile evils of the system than a convicted felon does.
well, that's
what I'm
because
saying.
they haven't been awakened from their indoctrination.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's
and
really what
wasn't-
he's saying.
It wasn't
That's what
until
he's saying.
it wasn't until I awoke from my indoctrination. And even I was still indoctrinated when I knew that this was wrong and going on. I just
Sure.
felt that in my heart that this wasn't right and that I could do something better
Right.
to not only help my people but
Right.
help this overall system in America that claims that there's too much crime. So. Okay, if y'all saying there's too much crime, then won't y'all properly educate people to bring that crime level down?
Because it was a lie from the beginning.
Thank you, Giddy. Thank you, Giddy.
That's what
Now
he said.
I think we're seeing the clear picture.
That's what the
here.
politicians who going, well, we want to change the system and we've got this, America is going to come back to its original. Man, they were lying and cheating and killing and stealing babies and pedophiling from day
Well,
one.
one thing I agree
Right.
with Gideon, America has been criminal from the start.
Right. They were criminals when they were sent over here from
It's a
Europe.
penal colony.
They were like, okay, send all the bad ones, the bad apples, the criminal, the thieves, the murderers,
Right.
send them over there and let them fend for
Pedophile.
themselves. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But somehow the criminals and pedophiles and all that has rose into power. Now America
Yes.
has become number
Right.
one.
What did Michael Jackson
Because-
say? A smooth criminal.
Well, yeah, America has been-
Right, that's
right.
because
We
I
have
think-
out-criminaled England.
Right, because
They
I think
out-criminaled-
England underestimated that when they sent those criminals and thugs over here, that they would be able to flourish the way that they have. But they
Right.
were able to flourish the way that they did by basically
nuclear
stepping on
stick.
other people.
That's what it was.
Stepping on other
See-
races in the native.
Well, but see, I'm gonna tell you what's the difference between America's criminality and England's criminality. England's criminality had what you call a centralized leadership monarchy.
Right.
Our criminalization had what they call a democracy, meaning all us criminals had to come to the table and had to negotiate,
Right.
had to
They had
talk
to-
to each
they
other,
had
we
to
had to
agree.
work with each other.
They had to
That's
agree
why
on
our
what-
criminality outweighed their criminality.
Well, I wouldn't say it outweighs them because
It
the
did.
Queen, America and these thugs over here still paying their mother.
Right.
The mother of harlots.
Right.
That's why you
No,
got,
get him,
brother,
prove it,
look, John
prove it,
Paul,
prove
the
it.
number one thug on the planet, is got his, that whole, the Vatican City got more gold than any country on the planet
Whoa,
because
whoa.
all of them pay homage to him.
Gideon, hold
Yes,
on,
sir.
hold
Go
on.
ahead.
You confused me.
Okay, go ahead.
You said the Queen of England.
Yes.
Okay, the gold in the Vatican is Italy. So what
Because
what
they
confused
are
me?
all part of the whole system of
yeah,
white
they are-
supremacy.
Vatican,
Okay, but I'm saying that America.
monarchy.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that
Cosa Nostra.
Yeah, all of that.
Come on, man.
America heads that.
Well, no,
I don't know.
America
I don't know if America has
No,
that. I think England
heads
is still.
that.
England is still.
Okay, I'm going to ask both of you
we're
gentlemen
still-
quick because you seem like y'all both still stuck in your naivety.
Okay, go ahead.
How many nuclear weapons does England have?
Well, their daughter has all
I'm
the
like,
weapons.
that doesn't really matter because if we're on their team, they got as many as we got.
Exactly.
As America
Okay,
has.
let
What are
me
you talking
let me
about?
bring y'all up to date. Okay?
Go ahead.
Your country is measured by how many nuclear weapons that you have, okay? And that's why they're trying to stop Iran right now
Right.
from gaining nuclear access. okay?
Exactly.
So right now, the United States and Russia are on top because they have the nuclear weapons. Not England, not France. Now, Israel, they're trying to get up there, but it's all about nuclear armament. Let me say that let me say one more time in my Matrix boy. It's all about nuclear armament, and that's why Iran and these countries are trying to obtain uranium.
Well, see, this
because
is
that is the new age of power there.
let me let you understand what power truly is. Power isn't the boxer.
Okay,
Wait a minute, hold on.
okay.
Power isn't the boxer that goes in the ring to beat down his opponent, like America, like Israel, like Russia. Power is the one who owns the boxer that goes into the ring.
Okay, I got one question for you, Gideon. When Benjamin Netanyahu wanted to complain, did he go to England or did he come here to John Boehner in our United States?
Well, I mean, you got a valid point in reference to the issue of who are the.
What difference does it make? They're all in bed together.
Thank you. That's
The difference
that's
is
the point.
the difference. No, hold on. The difference is you guys said that the power was in England. Benjamin Netanyahu flew over here to our Congress,
Right.
to our John Boehner. So the power lies over here, not in England. The
Just
proof is in the
because,
pudding.
look, I work for 5 TV shows.
Okay.
Most of those TV shows, they want to put me the face
Right.
of the TV show.
Right.
America is the face of tyranny.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
And-
we're saying the same thing.
but England is still
In control.
rules the throne.
Exactly.
If I can use a play on words.
The monarchy that you
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Exactly.
I disagree. I would need some proof and evidence on that.
Well,
That's
track your
another show.
taxes then, boss.
That's another
That's all
show.
you have to do. The taxes that go to education, the taxes that come out of your pocket every
Goes to
time you
Israel.
get it goes to England, sir.
Goes to
The
Israel,
debt
sir.
that this country incurred when they left their mother is still being paid. That's why the tax
No, you
system
gotta
is
prove
still
that, Claire.
the tax system was supposed to stop after World War II. It was a
gotta prove
temporary thing. You do your research, boss.
I've
It was a
done
temporary
research.
thing that was supposed to
Our
end.
tax dollars
That's why
goes
the political pundits are talking about the restructuring of the tax system. And many of them, that's their platform upon which they're speaking. Because they know that this country, the tax system is illegal. It's only because they can enforce it through tyranny and fear that it continues.
Gideon, we're gonna have to definitely do the research and debate where this
Absolutely.
money's going, because I can argue and say, well, it's the corporations like Enron, Halliburton, which are not in England, but in Texas. Yes, Texas.
Well, yes.
Owned by the Cheneys and the Bushes, the Clintons,
All
not
of them
by the
are
Queen of
owned.
England.
All of them are owned by the Queen of England.
All
the
of
people.
them.
I'm talking about the Bushes. I'm talking about the
Prove it.
Cheneys.
Prove it.
Prove
Yes.
that they're
Prove
not.
it.
Prove that they're
Prove
not.
that they're not.
Prove
Well,
that they're
I can
not.
prove it.
The oil fields, the oil fields.
That they're
I
not.
have
I can prove it.
Okay,
Look,
prove
pull a dollar out of your pocket. Look at the images on that dollar. All the symbols reflect the European, Egyptian culture. We know that Egypt is not in power, but the all-seeing eye, the eagle with the holding the war bands, and all of these are symbols of England. Now,
No.
Yes.
No, stop right there. Those are symbols that came out of Egypt directly from the forefathers of this country. They bypassed England. They bypassed France. England has the coat of arms with the dragon. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's break
That's
down
good.
symbols.
That's a good
okay?
point.
Right,
Now-
none of that comes out of Africa. They
But
developed their own system.
It came out of England, but let me
No,
show you
it
this.
did not come out
All
of
right, let me-
England.
all right, let me
Okay.
show you this. The judicial system that we're presently under comes out of England. The judge, the robe that he wears, everything, all their proceedings.
But that does not
The
say-
fact
that
that
does not
wait a
mean our
minute. Let me
taxes
show
come
you.
out
Let
of
me show you
England,
something here,
Gideon.
boss. What do they call lawyers? What is their legal
Squires.
esquires? That's part of English nobility.
Okay, get in. I see where the confusion comes in.
Hold on. We off topic.
Yeah, we are. Get into
Y'all gonna
that,
have to do
right.
another goddamn
We sure do.
another show on
Right.
that.
Well, it
You're
comes
right,
back
man.
around
No,
to
yeah,
what
get
we're
us
talking
back
about. Get us back on
back
track.
to the teaching.
Yes,
Scandal.
Yes, please.
I want to talk about
because I had him. I had him in the
Yeah.
corner. You saved him. You saved
to the arena
Uncensored.
I'm about to do the beat
It's
down.
easy to just come up with stuff without proof and evidence, Gideon. See, you telling atheists.
Both of y'all are saying stuff that wasn't.
Right.
We needed to do a show
Right.
so we can both
We need to
present
do the
evidence.
research.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
We're gonna talk about the head of the snake of this cheating scandal, which was
Okay.
Beverly.
Beverly.
The face of the cheating scandal was
Okay.
Beverly Hall.
Right.
Okay.
The
We
face.
know the government is
Thank
behind,
you.
but the face was Beverly Hall.
Mm-hmm.
She was the superintendent of the APS for about 12, 13 years before she retired under the scrutiny of this situation.
Exactly.
Um,
She was retired the real way.
right. She died March the 2nd of breast cancer. She was 68 years old.
Right.
I feel like an injustice was done in her passing because I feel like she is the main one that should have caught the brunt of this punishment.
That's what
Because
killed her.
She was the
think.
main one. She knew exactly what was going on in her school district.
Exactly.
Okay, and they said that her and her regime just let the cheating run rampant
Right.
for years and years and years. Now,
Okay, so now I got to stop you and ask you, what type of punishment do you think she should have deserved? Because I'm trying to.
if they gave her 20 years,
She got the ultimate punishment.
because she was as they the HNIC.
So you thought she
You
should?
know
You
what I
think
mean?
she should have got 20 years when you got people out here murdering and killing and like ISIS is cutting people's heads off, but she should get 20 years.
She
for
was
cheating.
John Gotti. She was the head of this racketeering.
Really?
She was the head
Who
of
did she
this.
shoot down?
She was the head of this. She shot
Right.
down the minds of all those children that she miseducated, pushing them through the system and turning a blind eye to it, just like the United States turned a blind eye to what Israel's doing. Blah, blah, blah. I don't see nothing. She did the same thing with this cheating scandal. She knew it was going on. Not only did she know it was going on, but in July of 2011, a high-ranking district official said that Hall ordered the destruction of investigative documents detailing systematic cheating and ordered subordinates to omit adverse findings. So not only did she permeate this whole way of teaching, when it all hit the fan,
Right.
now she's like, hey, shred this, get rid of this, do this.
Right.
Yeah,
Just,
of course. You gotta
And so-
get rid of the evidence.
But let me ask you this, Vince. Don't you think that in reality, when we talk about the CRT testing system itself and the people who brought that whole thing in are the real perpetrators, and she
Right.
was just part of the organizing committee and the powers of government, like you said earlier, the
Right.
government itself should be held responsible for this cheating going on.
But you're not going to be able to tie that to the government.
Right. The government,
course not.
The
Their
government
hands
didn't do
are clean.
anything but create the standards.
That's
and,
right.
and pass the standards along
And
to
the
teachers.
standards were
But the
what they
standards
were
they kept-
trying to follow.
No, Vince, is this true? Every time they would raise the standard every year? Like if they say, for instance, the standard was 75%. Everybody got it 75%. Okay, now put it at 80%.
Right.
They pass 80%. Okay, 85%. Okay, 90%. Did they keep upping the ante?
I don't
Which
know.
Put more pressure?
I don't know about them upping the ante in that regards. What I do know is if your school scored 75% on the test,
Right.
everyone at the school, like I said before, would get $500.
Right.
If you're a bonus during that following Christmas.
Right.
If the percentage was 80%, it would go up to $1,000 bonus
Wow.
during Christmas.
Wow.
85%, 1,500, and it went up in increments like that. So the better you cheated and gave your school a higher percentage, the higher the bonus would be. And I want to touch on this issue because one of my friends, he was talking about this on Facebook, and he said that these teachers shouldn't be punished because they were trying to get money for the overall school system, and it was nothing about personal gain.
Okay.
It was about personal gain. I mean,
Right.
yes, it was about getting money for the school system as a whole, but it also did.
Arby, we did it for the booty.
Right. They basically pounded this teach to the test
Right.
Sir.
Exactly.
thing, and everybody jumped on like, okay, I'm
Right.
gonna teach to the test because I want my
that.
$1,000 bonus,
Exactly.
or however much bonus. Which
Exactly.
But Vince,
Wait a minute, hold on. But
okay,
see, this
all
is
right.
what you were saying about capitalism and understanding
Yes,
the
that's
vile
that's
nature.
a capitalistic thought. You're right,
Exactly.
thought
And see,
process.
when you monetize the value of our children's education rather than making it a moral imperative, which is part of the human existence and a right of our children, then you corrupt the very nature and the value of education.
Yeah, but Gideon, you got to understand that capitalism, living in a capitalist system, feeds the environment, creates the environment where we're living, where we're in economical dire straits. And so when you get that type of money offered to you, $500, it's like...
It challenges your morality.
It does. I mean, look at Ben. She's so righteous, but he's up. You know.
I don't understand why you just keep equating that to being righteous and like acting like it's wrong though. I knew
I'm not saying it's wrong, but it will make you broke.
Right.
I've been broke my whole life. That ain't
Right,
new.
right.
And I wasn't about to trade my integrity for some money by way of disenfranchising and miseducating black youth.
Okay, so look at the odds. So you got righteous Vince over here, and you have a capitalist system that is sucking the economical system around us and then offering us money of corruption. So how many of the kiddies are gonna get that little?
But this is the point I wanted to make in reference. See, the CRCT did not deprive our children of their education and the process. See, the educational process is a 12-month, 365-day. Wait a minute. Let me just make a point. It is a process through math, English, all the various disciplines is not and was not comprised in this test. It may have been a test for the system to be able to infuse this corrupt money into it, but the child itself was being supposedly educated throughout the entire year.
Is this true, Vince?
So the child was not educated throughout the entire year because from August, September, the whole mentality was teach to the test. And I have a couple of quotes here that are about that teaching to the test mentality.
Okay.
Randy Weingarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, who is a strong opponent of the No Child Left Behind testing requirement, says the Atlanta scandal crystallizes the unintended consequences of our test-crazed policies. That's one quote. And then Lily Garcia, president of the National Education Association, wrote that too often, in too many places, we have turned the time-tested practice of teach, learn, test into a system of test, blame, punish. We are using these tests to punish schools, punish teachers, punish students in school districts. This simply isn't right. It's toxic.
Now, let me ask you this in reference, because, see, my children came up, they had to take the SAT.
Right, they still
Now, what they're doing now is they revamped the entire system, where they're saying that the test that they're going to have to take now is a more comprehensive test, where children actually going to have to write out the problem, explain how they arrived.
That's the new Common Core.
That's the new Common Core.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, my question is in reference to these tests, if the test is supposed to be a comprehensive analysis of the child's ability to comprehend, or as an assessment of the child's comprehension from the previous year, how is it that it's detrimental that for the teaching to the test, if the test is comprised of the curriculum that was supposed to have been taught throughout the year? You get that? You get that point?
Repeat the question.
Okay. The question is, the comprehensive test is supposed to be a final analysis of the child's ability to have learned reading, writing, and arithmetic to make it simple over the year. And if the teachers are teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic to educate the child to be able to pass the test, which is supposed to be a part of the curriculum that they're being trained. Why was it bad to teach to the test?
Right, that's a good point. Well, the only thing I have to say about that is even when you taught to the test, the students weren't engaged. Like they really didn't. You have to understand that, and I love my black children in inner city, but I have to say this. Our children grow up in the inner city with a lot of grown-up issues, a lot of grown-up distractions. And from not hunger, not having food in the home. Drugs was rampant over in Bankhead.
Family violence.
Student
violence.
Gangs.
Gangs, student. It was a lot of student violence.
Absolutely.
And so they come to
bullying.
Bullying. They come to school and they bring all these issues
This
with them,
trauma.
and they have the anger of already
Built
being a
in.
part of a system that doesn't
Yes,
want
they're
you.
trauma.
But
Traumatized.
now you have anger from being in the hood. You know,
Right.
one of my second graders, Asia, I remember her. She came up to me one day and she told me a story about they had an event over in Bankhead, a community event, like a fair type joint, and she was at the event with her uncle holding his hand, and some guy came up while she was holding, if she was standing on the right, blew out her uncle's whole side while
Shotgun.
while she was holding his
Oh
hand.
my goodness.
You know what I mean? And this is stuff that the kids had to deal with.
Oh,
I had
PTSD.
Right. I had a
that's
third grade young girl. She was one of the smartest students in the school.
Right.
And her mother tried to put her into child prostitution. So these kids are coming to the school with these issues. And
Yes, yes.
The educators and the administration, they're not trying to understand that there are
Right.
these real life serious issues that these kids are
Exactly.
dealing with that are affecting the way that they learn.
Absolutely.
And so of course,
Yes.
you know, they're gonna come with an attitude of, you know, this ain't gonna do
This,
nothing for
that,
me.
right.
This ain't. You
This
know,
is secondary to all this list of other
to
stuff.
all this other stuff
dealing
going on,
with.
to the point where I had one of my second graders tell me, he looked me, I was teaching, he's disrupting the class.
Right.
I'm trying to get him to calm down. He looks me dead in my face and says, I don't need education. I don't even like school. I'm
Right.
gonna drop out of school and go sell drugs for my uncle.
Right.
Okay, so then I go over to him and get in his face like, you know, you don't talk like that in my class. You need to
Right.
focus on your book, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He looks me up and down and goes, I'm going to get my uncle to come up to school and shoot you.
Yes, sir.
I looked at him and said, bro, I'm here Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., bro. I'm not
Right.
hard to find.
Right.
But this is the type of mentality
Yes.
and the type of things that you have to deal with. And if
Right.
you're not 100%
In
vested,
love with them
right,
children.
vested
You
with
got
your
to-
heart and your mind,
You got to love them.
it's gonna be a whole.
You gonna wanna
it's
kill 'em.
turn- Right. It's gonna turn you against them. It's gonna make you jaded. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? I will say a lot of the teachers were very jaded.
Absolutely.
And there was a very high turnover rate in the system, which is why they had to start this program to bring
Okay.
other
Exactly.
people from other.
Let me
Areas.
bring another picture to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely.
And Eisenhower, he complained about it back then during the 50s. You guys have to understand the corporations are creating this atmosphere.
Right.
Absolutely.
Puts the squeeze in our neighborhoods economically and
Right.
the school system.
In the school
Right.
So
system,
now
right.
that's the only choice we have is to go to the
Good.
military.
Or to the
Right,
jailhouse.
military, right.
Military jailhouse, but it's
Mil-
funny because even in before you go to even the prison, they still give you the option to go to the military.
Absolutely.
Ain't that something?
Well, you know, now they've made it where you have to have a certain level of education to be able to even get in the military. Because
No,
one of my
that's not
sons,
true.
oh no, that is
It
true.
does happen.
Only
That is-
certain ranking, but if you just want to go on the front line,
I'm
as a
telling
grunt,
you,
if you want to go on the front line and as a grunt, you need no education. That's just a
that's
higher
not
ranking.
true.
It is.
I'm telling you, I've got a son right now. He went through the Marine Corps. He's
What
now in
rank-
the Air
what
Force.
rank was he
Air
shooting
Force.
for? Air Force.
Yes.
Okay, look, get in. The Army,
Well,
frontline grunts.
I'm
You don't
telling
need
you,
no
they've
education.
changed the stat. Let me just say this: two of my wives were educators. Okay.
Okay.
My first wife, who was the mother of most of my children, she was educating in South Atlanta.
Right.
Then she went out into up 400 up in Alpharetta. You know she would have rather drive an hour and a half to Alpharetta to teach them white children rather than driving 15 to 30 minutes to teach our children. Because our children are dealing with so much trauma,
Right.
so many issues. But see, there are people like the educator that helped save me. The Creator sent Edward Johnson in Southwest Atlanta at the high school that I went to. I'm living up in Dolphin Courts, up in the Cascade Heights with my mother. We didn't have any furniture.
Right.
We didn't have any food. That educator, like many, came out of his pocket. He bought food. He bought, and when I got put out of the house, me and my mother ended up having to go back to the hospital. He helped me to find a place. There are educators out there that are spending their last dollar.
Right.
They're taking children in, but the problem is so prevalent and so huge.
Right.
It's overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming.
I mean, and it is challenging their mental state, just like it's challenging the children, which is why we must have parochial schools that will educate, but not only educate, they have to be able to house, they have to be able to mother, they have to go through the whole gamut, psychological help.
Right.
You have to have a whole spiritual help, because like you were saying on the show we did previously, the only thing, just like with this child support issue, the only thing that saves us is having a mental state that goes beyond what you see in the natural.
Right. Okay,
you have to have a spiritual component.
Okay, now you see why. Now this is why I was hoping Yang would be here. Do you see why our people now have a need to want separation?
Absolutely.
Vince?
Absolutely.
You already know, you for separation, but I'm just, and I'm not a separatist, but I'm just showing, but I can see the argument.
Yeah. And I totally agree with what you're saying, and I do believe that.
This is for Yang, because I know,
right.
he
Brother Yang,
and Kruger. We got 5.
So yeah, I know how to finagle,
Yeah, my brother.
Both sides, But yeah, just
we miss you, man.
I do know that before integration,
right,
in our schools were in our hands and our communities.
Right.
The prevalent with our young black kids wasn't as bad as it is now, and it always takes me back to the quote from Martin Luther King that says, "I fear that I've integrated my people into a burning building." Like,
yes,
that's a very powerful statement to me.
Yes,
and so I do believe if we would have stayed separated in that respects, that we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this Atlanta cheating scandal, right?
Well, see, the other thing is the number of men that they took out of the school system. See, men, because we're coming from that traumatized state, we have more armor to deal with. What they're doing is putting these young white girls fresh out of college, these young sisters, they coming in there going to sleeping with more of the children, these young, beautiful children of ours, rather than educating with them short dresses on. That's why we need men that are seasoned, that have the spirit that you have, but just like you, they come in there and they got these women that they put in these dykes and all this, they put them over the school system, and man, it's only going to take so much before he gonna go off one. So he said, I better leave here before I have to check one of these nuts.
Right. And my thing, I know we got like 4 minutes now.
Yeah.
The punishment for this Atlanta cheating scandal, nowhere near, the crime of the Atlanta cheating scandal nowhere compares to the crime that happened in 2008 with our economic crash.
Right.
With these banks, and these home folks, with
largest
predatory
transfer of wealth since slavery.
Right.
And just like Kevin said, the last show, Henry Kissinger should be brought up on war crimes, but that's another show. Yeah.
So you had bailouts for the bankers.
Thank you.
You had bailouts for the auto industry.
Thank you.
You had bailouts for the home industry.
Thank
the
you.
Real estate industry, but
we got kicked out.
You got kicked out and thrown under
the
jail for a handful of teachers that admitted to the wrongdoing. Well, the ones that went to trial didn't
of course,
forthright admitted. But even before the trial started, the 21 that took the plea deal had already admitted to the wrongdoing.
That's
right.
And it had already been found systematically throughout the whole system that there was wrongdoing.
Exactly.
So I don't know what made these other 12 people, whether it was arrogance, ego, pride, whatever it may be.
Or naivety.
Naivety. Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. I just, bottom line is the punishment doesn't fit the crime in this situation. To charge them like they're organized criminals, like you said, who did they shoot?
Right.
Who did they murder?
All right, we got 2 minutes, but see, this is the other thing. If they have to go to jail, they can begin to organize in jail. 80%, that's just a high number, and I'm throwing it out there, of our people that are incarcerated are illiterate. And if they go in there, they can become a powerful force for creating change within the system if they're forced to go in.
I'm about to close this out. I'm glad you said that, because next week we're going to have Earthworm coming on there with a formerly incarcerated inmate and talking about the organization that you just talked about. They're having a prison strike, and she actually has actual recordings of the abuse. And we're going to play it here, so y'all don't miss that show. So we out.
Peace. Yes, sir. This is what
from
we
the
do,
Arena Uncensored.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
All right.
We still on. No, yeah, we still on. I mean, as we go.
Time change.
Yeah, we
Okay.
got about a minute or
Let's
so, but
freestyle,
as we,
freestyle.
yeah, well, I mean, that's what you're saying about earthworm and the
Yeah.
incarceration. See, that's the one thing when Joseph was put in jail. Jail doesn't necessarily mean the end of your life.
Right.
Don't mean you're gonna get
Ask
punked out.
Freeway Ricky
told
Ross.
out. Ask
Oh, yeah, that's
Freeway
right, yeah.
Ricky Ross.
That's
Right.
right.
So if those educators have to go to jail, even though their life has been ruined by the system, their children that have been taken over by parents, they may be another calling for them inside.
It's not that deep with them, I promise you, because when they were working in the Bankhead Court projects, they were too uppity and bougie to even go across the street to even. I used to take my kids across the street. I had one of them ask me, "Oh, how could you go over there with those people?" I'd never go over there by myself with those people. And I'm looking at her like, "Those are my people. What are you talking about?" So they don't have the mentality of what you're talking
Well,
about.
jail
to
will
take
give them that
situation
mentality.
and be like, "Well, let me go improve the jail system." So
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah, jail. See, the Most High has a way of taking when you think you up,
Right.
He will take you all the way down, and it's for your good. It's not for you to be destroyed, but it's to build you back up the right way.